Okay, let me show you my answer. Well, to create a valid for Amy, and then remember we are sending two parameters to the constructor, right? So when we send and then we can build a valid for Amy, and then you want to call the earn. So Amy valid dot earn, because this is when you are doing the earn, remember this is a method, and when we are calling a method, you have to do an object dot a method name first. Okay, so we are earning 50, and then we are spending 99, and eventually if you want to get the cash, and then we do Amy valid dot cash. Okay, this cash is an attribute. Okay, so let's move on. And if you have heard about some other object-oriented languages like C Sharp or C++ or Python, and then you may have heard the term public versus private. Okay, and then in Python, and you may ask, how do we do a parameter? Private parameter, and I would say that is doable, but Python is very different. So in the Python's rule, and then if we want to use an underscore variable name, so instead of an attribute name or a variable name, we do a underscore first, and then this is to say this attribute is supposed to be private. Okay, and then let me change the valid here. So for the owner is just the own self.owner. But when we are doing the cache, and then we want to do an underscore cache, and that is to say for this cache it is supposed to be private. Okay, and then later when we are doing the spend and then the earn, and then we also do the self.underscore cache and the self.underscore cache. Okay, and then if we're doing this way, and then let's continue with Amy, and if we want to do create a valid for Amy, and then if we want to print Amy valid.owner, and this owner is not private, so we do Amy valid.owner, that is fine. Okay, and the next thing, well, this is a weird thing. If we do Amy valid.underscore cache, okay, we can still get this Amy's cache. Well, is this supposed to be how it works? And the answer is no. If you know some of the other old school object-oriented languages, if you specify an attribute to be private, and then you cannot really access it because that is protected. But in Python, it seems that we can use this convention to say, okay, if you have an underscore attribute name, this attribute name shouldn't really be done like this. Well, and if you are showing this code to an experienced Python coder, and then that Python coder will say, okay, you shouldn't do that, because when you're calling a dot underscore attribute name, well, the designer designed this attribute name with an underscore, so it shouldn't really be called this way. So this syntax works, but people will see this is not the right way to access this attribute. But anyhow, Python still allows that. Okay, and then how do we do that in a better way, in an elegant way? And then we can use the getter and setter. Okay, so how about we create another method called get cache. So instead of doing Amy valid.underscore cache, now let's create another get cache to facilitate that. So for this get cache, we return self.underscore cache, but instead of doing this way, Amy valid underscore cache, now we do Amy valid dot get cache. So we can still get the cache, but we are not directly messing up with a private attribute, even though in Python there's not really private. Okay, and then if you want to spend, and then you want to get a cache again, and then you can do that. Okay, so here is another exercise. Well, for this exercise, and then I'm asking you to do a set cache. So you can get the cache, and then you can also reset the cache. And then for the get cache method, instead of always returning the value of the cache inside the valid, now let's add some of the privacy. Say if I have less than $10 in my wallet, I wouldn't tell you, hey, I only have 10 cents. And that's embarrassing. Okay, I want to say, if you ask me how much cash do you have, and then I will say, let me find an ATM first if the cash is less than 0. Okay, so for this cash and then get cash, you want to update that, and then you also want to create a set cash method. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this video here and go ahead and finish those two parts, and then I will see you in the next video.